If you crack first, Dave, it won't make you any less of a man.
I'm nowhere near cracking.
Neither am I, my friend.
Dave. And Matthew, what is it now? For God's sake, no one's smoking, okay?
But nothing!
You know what we need around here is an anti-whining ordinance.
So just sip your sniveling little lip and haul your skinny ass out of here!
Welcome back to Thinking Critical. This is Wes, and obviously we were notified a few days ago when Marvel's March 2021 solicitations came out that Spider-Man would be receiving a new costume, I believe starting in issue 62 or 63. Now, I do have a Marvel solicitations video. It's going to be up on Saturday, and I am reviewing Amazing Spider-Man 55 later today, but I did want to address the new costume from Amazing Spider-Man, and I know most people on the channel probably know Doc as the X-Men historian and the Marvel aficionado, but people might not realize that the other franchise at Marvel that you will not give up on besides X-Men is actually Amazing Spider-Man.
Yes.
And, you are a huge fan. So I figured who better to bring on the channel and discuss the pros and cons of this new costume.
Well, thanks for having me, Wes. Yeah, Spidey's ASM has been on my pool list since 1987, when I was like 7 years old. So yeah, you know what? I did drop it at the beginning of the Spencer run, but my local shop just kept putting it in my pool anyway, and I finally just said, and finally I read like 4 or 5 issues of it that had started accumulating. I'm like, God damn it, this is good.
Yep.
So
a good run.
It is.
Last Remains feels like it's the pinnacle so far of the run. We shall see when I read the actual issue 55 today, which is the last issue, and like I said, there will be a review later. Before we get into the discussion about the new costume and some possible ranting, I'm not really sure. We haven't discussed this in depth yet, Doc. I do want to say, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, give us a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video, give us a thumbs down if you don't. Either way, we want to hear from you guys. What do you think about Spider-Man's new costume? This is a good change, bad change? We shall see. So here's the 2 covers that we have. And before I get fully into your thoughts, because you're going to get me, I imagine you're going to lay out some stuff and you're going to get me going. I'm going to forget about this. I have a question, Doc. Does Peter Parker have a head anymore?
I don't know, because
this is clearly a human body. We've got musculature in the rib cage. We've got definition on his shindig. But here we've got a rivet for mechanical head and what looks to be a metal head.
Yeah. Now that could be, remember back in the day, Iron Man had it was basically like muffs over his ears, and then the helmet would kind of pop out from around that. And I'm wondering whether or not it's the same design sense where that's where it's coming from. So these are more like earmuffs, and they also work as hinge points, because it doesn't quite look like a human head.
Mm-hmm. Now, the first image that I saw was actually the one, I believe, on the right, and see it from the front. The first thing that popped in my head is Peter Parker dead? Is this something that Doctor Strange did to conjure up and bring Peter Parker back, and perhaps there's a dead body within this new apparatus that is the Spider-Man costume? Because we do know there is an issue, I think it might be issue 59, where we've got Norman Osborn, we've got Kingpin, and they're holding a Spider-Man costume and ripping it in half. I thought that indicated that they were going to fight. Then, as well, there's a new costume. Maybe that's an indication that a new costume is coming. But then once I saw this, I was like, well, maybe that's to indicate that Peter Parker's dead, and there's Spider-Man is no more, and they're announcing it to the city or something. You think
I honestly, at this point, I don't know. I mean, it could be a robot head on Peter's body that has his AI, his personality is running as an AI or something. I haven't the slightest damn clue. I mean, because from reading, I think it was issue 54 LR, it ends with Norman and Kingpin kind of sort of looks like they're going to team up. And so that's kind of the next stage of Peter, and it looks like they're but I can't tell if Norman's actually still evil or not after the whole Sin Eater thing.
I
And
imagine he is. It's like I said, it's he and Kingpin ripping the costume in half. I think that all that confirms that he's in on something with Kingpin.
Yeah.
Now, those are like the two big questions I have. Does he have a head left? Because why would he have a mechanical helmet but just a regular Spider-Man costume? Like I said, you can see his neck veins and stuff.
Yeah.
There's obviously a human form, at least underneath, head down. And then, is he dead? But I think with the other shot from the side, that all kind of confirms that it's probably not the case there. So let me just ask you right now. Obviously, we've had the red and blue color, the red and blue suit, since day one. It's the legendary suit. It's one of the greatest superhero costumes in all of comics, if not the. We've had the black suit, which in and of itself is also legendary. Obviously, that came out of Secret Wars. There's been some variations on it. Less successful. Those are the two. What do you think about this weird color scheme? It's blue with kind of, I guess it's a gray and then orange highlights.
Yeah, this kind of reminds me of the Dan Slott era stealth suit that he had that was like black with green, I think it was, like light up stuff. I don't understand what the recent fascination with adding like Tron design elements to Spider-Man costumes is going on, because you have this one obviously, you had the stealth suit that was black with the green like light up LED stuff on it. That you had the one from the beginning of the last volume, I think it was, that had where it was still Parker Technologies, where he had all the where he had the one with the glowing spider thing, and even like the webs kind of glue with like an LED thing. Even though it was still like the standard yellow or red and blue costume, it still had a lot of that light. I don't understand why they keep making Spider-Man's costumes light up. He's not a fucking glow stick.
Well, I mean, I could understand it if you translate it to movies or something. It might look better or cooler in 3D. Tron 3D looked actually really dope. I don't know why they keep doing with Spider-Man, but the color scheme to me,
the color scheme does
not fit the character. It's a little weird.
Yeah, orange doesn't belong on Spider-Man. It
almost feels like what they're doing with Juggernaut.
Yeah, like where they have almost like the Sidorak energies flowing through almost like tubes on him. And I don't
feel like this is definitely some type of energy source, right?
Yes, it's some sort of energy source, because it's definitely, he's got a tech costume instead of a spandex costume. The standard red and blue has always been a spandex costume. During the Alex Ross covers of the last volume and like post Superior Spider-Man, when he had all the tech from Parker Technologies, he had like a tech suit. There was the Stark Iron Spider costume, which was kind of like the first introduction of adding a bunch of tech to Spider-Man's costume. And it seems like ever since then, they keep bouncing back and forth between him in a tech suit and him in just his standard spandex. I mean, even the black one, not the Venom costume, but the second iteration where it was an actual spandex costume, that was just spandex. It wasn't until you got into the Dan Slott era that they really started adding a lot of tech into Spider-Man's costumes for some inexplicable reason. The whole point is he's the everyman. Him having a costume that probably costs more than my house kind of defeats the point of the everyman. So him in a spandex costume makes sense. Him in a super high-tech costume, it really doesn't make sense. I don't think
this one's high-tech. I think it's magic. Although the helmet still throws me off.
Yeah, and especially with the glowy eyes inside the other eyes, like that, it bothers me.
Looks like a flashlight.
Yes, he is a human flashlight or a human automobile, because he's got headlights in his face now. You know what? Maybe it is magic. I mean, they have been doing a lot of magic stuff in this, and maybe he is
Dr.
magic
Strange has
powered.
been a key part of Last Remains. He was in there. That's one of the reasons that he got caught by.
Well, and with the way that Kindred kept killing Spider-Man, like Peter. Maybe this is Doctor Strange's way of keeping him alive.
That's kind of my theory. I think he's dead, and this is like Doctor Strange is keeping him in the fight.
Yeah. But at the same time, the web shooters are obviously very techy.
Yeah, they're little gauntlets.
Yeah, and that kind of confuses me.
Because they're not magic.
Yeah, because they're not magic.
So do you think Doctor Strange and Tony Stark worked together to create this?
Well, you got the Stark logo in the background on issue 63, right above his webs. So maybe Stark gave him the web shooters that'll work, with magical control or something, and Strange is keeping him alive. That's distinctly possible, especially since there is kind of that Doctor Strange, Tony Stark kind of they have like an uneasy it's like an uneasy rivalry. They're like frenemies. And that would bring them together to help Spider-Man would kind of be well within reason in modern Marvel.
So Doc, I gotta ask you this. This is the part that's throwing me off. It feels like Amazing Spider-Man is on a real high now. There's been some really great moments in Nick Spencer's run, but it feels like I said, this is the pinnacle. It's Last Remains, kind of the pinnacle of what he's done on Spider-Man. This feels like a big change. This isn't altogether cool. Like when I see this, I don't go, "Oh, that's dope," or I don't know how I feel about it. I just look at it and I go, "It's kind of strange. I don't think I like it. Maybe it'll grow on me with time." Is this a good time for a big change like this? Like, it feels like the worst time to me.
It does, because it feels like this is, for all of the great things that they've been doing with Amazing Spider-Man, this feels like the thing that everybody's going to just go, "Oh, and there's the other shoe." That thing we've been waiting for, with
the Hail Hydra moment for Spider-Man.
Yeah,
it's not like that.
No, not like that, but that like we're gonna pull the rug out from under you, because that's kind of what we've always felt like. We were waiting for them to undo the marriage and then kill Mary Jane, but maybe they're gonna undo the deal with Mephisto, but then kill Peter. And instead of killing Mary Jane, because that's kind of what, like, a lot of us, even as much as we've enjoyed this run, we've always had that feeling in the back of our head, like they're going to screw this up. He's going to screw this up. Nick Spencer is going to find a way to screw this up. And
water's wet.
Yeah. The sun
Christmas
gives off light and
in
heat.
December, and Nick Spencer's going to mess up he's not going to stick the landing.
Yeah, he is going to he's just going to screw us. Subvert expectations. But now, and the thing is though, while the design on this costume isn't bad, like by itself, it's not a bad design. It's just a terrible color scheme.
Color scheme's weird. It would be better if it was just all black with the orange highlights.
Yeah, like if they would have kept it black with the orange highlights, or and then
like a off gray and black. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like orange and red aren't really going to go together. I mean, orange and blue, I guess. There aren't. It kind of a little bit, but it's.
I don't get it. I mean, and I'm trying. Like I feel like orange, by its very nature, does not work with Spider-Man. Yeah,
that's why I think this is. I think it's magic, and it's got to be.
Yeah, I mean, but
magic's signifying an enormous change. I believe the orange is the most significant part of the costume. I probably was over analyzing the helmet, which I still feel is off. It doesn't make sense of what I'm saying, because you're seeing things that obviously his costume isn't mechanical except for his head and his gauntlets.
Yes. So it could be that he's, a friggin' skeleton or something inside there.
I think he's a headless Spider-Man.
You could be right. I mean, we might be getting the headless Spider-Man arc.
That would be strange.
And then Ichabod Crane's going to show up. No, but look, I don't entirely hate it, but it is hideous. And the thing is, I mean, now I do want to know what kind of the next stage is for Spider-Man, because obviously after Last Remains coming, you're getting, it seems like
the Kingpin story arc.
Yes, it's obviously going to be a Kingpin story arc, but with Last Remains, you're kind of getting Kindred trying to teach Spider-Man a lesson about him taking the job seriously.
No, he's got to repent. He's got to acknowledge his sins.
Yes, he has to acknowledge his sins. He has to acknowledge all of the other people that he's gotten killed as the result. And I mean, the thing is, though, Spidey's always had this. If there's one thing he has, it's a guilt complex. Yeah, he is forever. I mean, it's not like he's ever exactly, oh yeah, I forgot, I got that guy killed. No, every chance he gets to make himself feel guilty, he takes it. So, but at the same time, he's never really changed his approach to being Spider-Man as the result of any of the people that have died. He still will confide in certain people that he is Spider-Man. He will still have people close to him that end up getting killed as a result. And I figured that the change in Last Remains was going to be that he would be taking the job much more seriously, much more strategically, and being a much more direct, all business kind of Spider-Man. And at that point, whenever I had heard that, and then I heard the thing about the costume change, I'm like, maybe he's going to go to something like that Last Stand costume where, with like the jacket that was the one that looked much more serious. From, I think that was during the JMS Ramita run, that was, where it showed him in the future. And he's got the jacket and the mask and the, but it's because that kind of signified a much more mature, all business, straightforward Peter Parker.
Yeah, we shall see. Obviously, Amazing Spider-Man 55 drops today. It is the last issue of Last Remains. I'll be reviewing it later on today, but we do have a new costume. My initial impression is, does he have a head? Is he dead? And I think the color scheme is horrible.
Yeah.
What are your last thoughts on this this new costume before we wrap this up?
The only thing that I can think of is maybe the gray. It kind of is giving me like this weird chameleon vibe. So maybe it's him being able to change his, so he could actually blend in, and it's more of a stealth suit in the fact that it's almost like a shape-shifting suit. But that's just because I'm getting this weird chameleon vibe from the color, from the grayish color, because it looks like the chameleon.
All right, well, maybe. Now, we definitely want to hear from you guys. What do you think about the new suit? Are we on to something here? Did we miss something completely? Let us know your thoughts on Peter Parker, Spider-Man's new suit that's coming up in March 2021. Thank you so much, Doc, for joining me.
Oh, thank you for having me, Wes.
If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. I would appreciate it very much. It helps us attract more views for the channel. Subscribe for future commentary, comic book news, and reviews. And don't forget to ring the bell for notifications. If you want to talk comics, movies, and much, much more, you can follow me on Twitter at Wes_from_TC. With that, Salamat Po, and I'm out.